Thomas Paine, Thomas Paine, Thomas Paine, Sam Adams, Sam Adams, Sam Adams, Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Franklin. These men spoke up for what they thought was right. From their courage came such documents as the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution of the United States. From their willingness to speak what was sometimes unpopular but right, we enjoy such liberties as freedom of speech, the right to keep and bear arms, and freedom of religion. There are those who still wish to oppress our freedoms, and there are still patriots willing to stand up and defend life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Men like Zeb Bell, who honor our founding fathers and what they stood for. It's now time for Zeb at the Ranch, speaking up and defending your freedoms. Brought to you by Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers and all of the other great advertisers on the program. And now, Zeb Bell.
You know, one of the greatest quotes I've read in a long time was by country music star Garth Brooks. And he said, "Some of the greatest conflicts are not between two people, but between one person and himself." Morning, everybody. Here comes Kate Smith, and God bless America. Followed by a Patriot with our Pledge of Allegiance. Let's start the week off right. Good morning. And a good morning to you and yours. I'm Zeb Bell, and we're back here in the saddle again for this week, all the way through Thursday, as a matter of fact. Every other week we're going to alternate with Sharon on Thursdays, and we appreciate that. Zeb at the Ranch, and of course brought to you by our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you with the best of safe driving tires. And of course, don't forget our great advertisers like Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley, helping you get back to being you. Right now, let's go to the phone line and have our Pledge of Allegiance. Good morning.
Good morning, Zeb. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Always a great job, Jerry. Thank you. God bless you, and have a wonderful day. Thank you much.
You bet. You have a wonderful day. May the Lord bless you and your whole audience.
All right, sir. Thank you very much. Time to go to the weather, and I believe Scotty's filling in this week. Gina's on vacation, so K&R Rental at 256 South, 600 west of Heyburn brings you the weather forecast to kick things off on the program this morning. They're located right there on the Burley-Paul Highway, and they've got all your gardening tools. They've got all your lawn equipment. They've got everything for you to finish any kind of a project. So get over there and see Roger and the crew today, or give them a call at 678-3122, K&R Rental. And right now, here's old Scottman with the weather.
Well, it looks like a much sunnier, at least beginning of the week. Good morning with your Zeb at the Ranch weather forecast. I'm Scotty Cameron. For today, looking for sunshine. Highs are going to be around 78, mostly clear skies tonight, and a low of 44. More of the same for tomorrow. Sunshine and 81, mostly clear tomorrow night with a low of 50. Then for Wednesday, sunshine and 84, mostly clear Wednesday night, a low of 54. As we move into Thursday, maybe a small chance of showers in the afternoon and a high of 82. Thursday night, mostly cloudy, a low of 54. And for Friday, mostly sunny and 83. That's your Zeb at the Ranch weather forecast. I'm Scotty Cameron. Have a great day.
I tell you, Scotty, thank you. And the weather brought to you by K&R Rental at 256 South, 600 west of Heyburn. They've got your rototillers and your mowers, and they've got all kinds of equipment over there. Anything and everything you need. Great big front yard to prove it, too, at K&R Rental at 256 South, 600 west of Heyburn, 678-3122. Want to remind you about one of our great advertisers. Excuse me for coughing like that. I've been fighting the springtime pollen, I think. I want to remind you about Darrell's Cleaners at 1223 Albion Avenue in Burley. Oh, my goodness. If you do not have the time to do your own washing, you know what? Take it into Darrell's. They will wash, dry, fold, and iron all your clothes, just like Mom used to. I'll tell you, they do a phenomenal job. And for the best in dry cleaning and all the pressing and the cleaning and everything, boy, do they do a super job on Wranglers and your jeans and all your shirts and everything. I know, been going there for years. Daryl's Cleaners at 1223 Albion Avenue in Burley. You stop in and see them today, as I almost knocked over the microphone. We got a full plate today. We're going to be giving away cookies to Sophie's Cookies. And I heard the most interesting story about Sophie's Cookies yesterday by a very reliable source that is this young lady related to the owners of Sophie's Cookies. And she was telling me that a guy was on his way to the ER, on the way to the emergency room, and stopped and picked up his cookies first. I couldn't believe it. Wow, that's commitment. We're going to give away the cookies at 8:30, and then we've got Richard Manning at 9:06. And always very, very astute political analysm, if you will, please. And then at 9:30, Josh Bernstein is going to be talking about all that's going on with impeachment or not. Gregory Wrightstone is going to be here at 10:06 talking about the absolute lunacy of the Green New Deal. Then we've got Vicky's Country Gardens coming on at 10:30, and then at about 10:46 we're going to talk just real quick to Chuck Driscoll with the Veterans Administration. So we got a lot of things cooking for this morning. And I also want to remind you about our friends at Ramsey Heating and Electric. You know, they get there early in the morning also. I'm knocking that microphone every time. It's as if I didn't know it was there. Ramsey Heating and Electric, and they're always there early in the morning to serve you. And, of course, they open the doors at 7:30 to 5, Monday through Friday. I urge you to get a hold of them. Stop in for any and all your heating, cooling, and electrical needs during the course of this summer. And they can help, they will help. Their telephone number to call, too, so that if whatever it is, if it's small enough to just run in and pick up, they'll have it on the counter for you at 678-0459. They're located at 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. Ramsey Heating and Electric, serving you. Caller, a good morning to you.
Well, a good morning to you, too. It just seems like it's been longer than 4 days since I heard from you.
Well, you know, I've had some people that have called me and said, how dare you take off on Thursdays every now and then? Well, wait a minute, stop. There's a reason for it, none of which I'm going to explain on the air right now, but it's been kind of a handy little situation for me on alternate Thursdays to let Sharon come in and do the program so that we can take care of everything that needs to be taken care of at least one day a week.
Well, you just need to ask those people who signs their paycheck, because it has got nothing to do with you.
No, and I really appreciate Sharon. I asked her if she would work for me on those alternate Thursdays, and she's done a great job and will continue to do so. And this week, however, I'll be in the saddle all 4 days.
Okay, here we go. You know, Joe Biden, Sleepy Joe Biden.
Mm-hmm.
I've decided to change his name. From now on, I want him to be known as O'Biden, because he's joined at the hip with Obama.
Well, that's, of course, been the case ever since he was the vice president and espousing a lot of Obama's principles. But I tell you what, I made a prediction, and somebody called me on my cell phone. I'm trying to think who it was last Friday. And they said, now remember, you made a comment on your program that you said that by the latter part of June, the last week of June, Joe Biden's popularity numbers would start to diminish. And I'll still stand behind that. I just don't think Biden can continue to be the leader of the pack with the stand that he's taken on various issues.
I think I'd only give him till the end of this week before he crashes. Because what that bold statement he made about abortion,
Yeah.
paying for it and that
Yeah.
sort of thing, really set himself on fire.
Well, and then his idiocy, and I'm going to call it that. Some people might be offended, but it is 1.7 trillion. That's with a T. And I have never been in the car business like you, so I don't understand trillions of dollars. But that's a lot of money for Green New Deal.
Well, I never did ever reach that point, so I couldn't tell you. But, most people like myself, before Reagan, we had never heard of the word trillion, I don't think. I think he brought that to light to try to show us how far in debt we were.
Yeah.
And that was during his reign.
Well, I tell you, I got another call waiting, but I appreciate it. Joe Biden, you think he's going to flame out by the end of this week? I'm going to give him till the end of the month, and we're going to see a total diminishment of numbers. We'll wait and see who's correct. Keith, God bless you for calling in. I do mean that. Thank you.
Okay.
All right, buddy. Caller number 2, I'll be there momentarily. I got to pay some bills, and I want to remind everybody about Denny's Restaurant, 611 North Overland in Burley. Good food and fantastic service, nice people. I urge you to go in and check out some of the new menu choices, and they are phenomenal. I mean, for breakfast or lunch, have you tried those Cobb salads with the prime rib add-on? Whoa, knock your boots off. Great. All kinds of great things going on over there, and you're going to love the food on, of course, the menu at Denny's Restaurant, America's Diner, 611 North Overland in Burley, and another location at 291 Pole Line Road in Twin Falls. The home of Zeb's Lunch Bunch, Denny's Restaurant. Want to also tell you quickly, while my caller is waiting patiently, I hope, about our friends at Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation. I had more people call me and say, oh, how come you didn't scream when they stuck the needles in when they were doing that therapy on you over at Burley Physical Therapy? I wanted to, but I didn't. Excellent help if you're aching and paining. Nick Greenwell and all the physical therapists over there at Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley. Simply put, they can help you get back to being you. All you need to do is call the number at 678-1191. That number again, 678-1191, to let them help you. Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning again, Zeb. I was listening to Bernie Sanders last night on the news, and he was talking about raising the minimum wage. You go into Walmart and Smith's, there's 12 checkout stands or self-checkouts in Smith's now. That means that many people aren't working there that used to. And Walmart has a whole bunch on both ends, too. And, that's nationwide, I'm sure. They can talk about raising the minimum wage. We went 8 years under Obama. I think the people that were on Social Security got 1 or 2% over the 8 years increase in income. Their meat bill went from $1 a pound to about $7 a pound. During that time, the gas bill went up and everything else, insurance and, property taxes and every other thing you buy. They never talk about increasing the people that are on Social Security, and I don't really need it, so I'm not worried about it because I save some money and have it in the bank. But there's a lot of people that really need more money, and if we keep this expand getting wider and wider and wider, we're going to be starving our old people to death, I'm afraid.
Well, there you've touched on it. We are creating a hemlock society without realizing we're creating that society. Let me just say something to you about what you brought up about Walmart. It also affects many other corporations, too, like McDonald's, etc. The Bernie Sanders of the world are going to keep pushing, and they're going to keep stabbing and ramming and jamming for $15 minimum wage or even more. And we're going to see a a severe depletion in jobs that are available for young people or people trying to get into the workforce at the first time in their life, and we're going to see more automation take over. Mark my words, and I think you'll agree with me, Jerry, that the more they push for this, free enterprise and the owners of businesses are going to say, wait a minute, we can't afford to have those jobs, so we'll do away with them and go with automation, or we'll do without the jobs in their entirety. This is what's going to happen.
Well, I realize that, and it's a crying shame. You know, during Obama's time in office, our economy went down, down, down. Our morale went down, down, down. Racism went up, up, up. Everything just was backward of what it should have been. Well, President Trump come into office, and it just reversed almost immediately.
Yeah.
Our economy started going up immediately. Jobs started going up immediately. Industry started coming back, and things started working. I cannot see how these Democrats can sell the garbage they're selling to the people and get by with it. It's just totally criminal as far as I'm concerned.
You know, Jerry, you've given a really good synopsis of what we're going to be talking about in possibly about the first 3 or 4 segments this morning. Thank you. I mean that. Thank you for calling, because you've always got the backbone to stand up and say what you feel. Thank you so much.
Well, I appreciate the old people. You know, I work with the food bank. I don't anymore, but I have over the time. The people that really needed food, I helped see to it they got it. And I've worked with a lot of charities. I do a lot of stuff like that all the time. And, you know, it's just, if you've got it, you need to give back some.
Yeah, I agree.
And I believe all of us need to give to our country. We need to be working for our country. We need to love our country. We need to appreciate what our country does. I wish I could appreciate my congressmen and my senators. I don't anymore. I've just had them lie to me too many times. Anyway, I'll get off the air. You have a wonderful day. May the Lord bless.
All right, Jerry, God bless you. Thank you very much. I agree with his sentiments, believe me. I've got a couple of things. Caller, stand by. I've got to tell everybody the Idaho Regatta is coming back. It's coming back, and it's going to be June 27, 28, 29, and 30. Oh, don't miss this. They're going to have, starting on Thursday, June 27th, the big show and shine on the square in Rupert. Oh, that's going to be hosted by the city of Rupert and going to be a lot of fun. Friday the 28th, the boat parade at 10 a.m. Friday, also June 28th, the race side is going to have racer pre-registration. And then on Saturday and Sunday, oh, look out. They're going to have some of the best of the Idaho Regatta you've ever seen. And we want to urge you to get your tickets right now to be at the Idaho Regatta for 2019. And, of course, many of their special sponsors, the Boot Barn, Budweiser, D.L. Evans Bank, Bank Western, Best Western, Corporate Image, and more. We want to say a big thank you. Get your tickets now for the best and most fun, the Idaho Regatta for 2019. Going to be a lot of fun. Also, real quick, too, Jake and the rest of the crew at Rain for Rent. Oh, the warmer temperatures and the drier conditions. A lot of these old boys now, they're back irrigating, and they absolutely know you can depend on Rain for Rent. Jake and the rest of his very dedicated sales and service staff, they're working double time to catch up and help you. Absolutely. Call them, 438-5065. They're located at 134 South, 600 West of Paul, and believe me, they can help you with anything. They are a Reinke Diamond dealer and Platinum Plus certified pivot techs. They've got the knowledge, the people, and the equipment at Rain for Rent. You get a hold of them today. Caller, good morning, and thank you for your call.
You're welcome, sir. You know, Jerry touched on something there that bothers me. The Democrats have been screaming for a $15 an hour living wage. That you can't, but yet they don't do nothing for Social Security when they expect us to live on $1,200 a month.
Yeah.
I mean, that just doesn't balance out. I mean, if they're worried about the young people in that there getting their job, their first job being $15 an hour, they need to worry about us old folks not having to forego buying our prescriptions so we could pay for lights and heat.
Well, there you go, and you've touched on it. I am very embittered. I'm older than you are by quite a few years, and I am not complaining because I've worked hard and I've got a little bit of savings, not very much as compared to what I should have saved. But when I look at the situation of people that are trying to make decisions as to whether or not to go to a doctor's appointment, whether or not to buy some prescription that's going to aid and abet their lives and help them feel better, whether or not they can afford to buy groceries because they can't put the gas in their tank because that's escalating in price, something is really wrong. And if you're going to cry baby to me about somebody getting into the workforce and not getting $15 an hour, I'm going to laugh at you.
Exactly. Your first few jobs teach you how to deal with people, how to deal with your boss, and how to be responsible, how to show up on time, and how to do your job.
Why are we awarding people that are an unproven commodity?
That's it. You don't. You can't. My business, if I had to hire somebody that knew nothing about alternators and starters or repairing them, and I had to pay him $15 an hour, I couldn't afford him.
No, and nor should you. But then, on the other hand, to be fair, if that person absolutely is the cream of the crop and the belle of the ball, you're going to sit back and say, I better pay him a lot more money so I don't lose him.
Exactly. If he comes in and he has knowledge on how to do this stuff, and I can, within 2 or 3 months, he could be trained where I could say, hey, I got to run off for a little bit. Can you watch the shop and take care of customers and feel confident he could do it? Then, yes, he's worth the money.
No, you're not going to get an argument out of me. I mean, this demanding $15 an hour starting. But they don't understand, and I'm almost out of time in this segment, Doug, but I want you to comment on this, and we've got another caller too. But they don't understand that if you're going to start Johnny Smith for $15 an hour, what about old George and Katie and Susie and Arnold and the rest of them that have been there as loyal employees for a long time? They're going to demand kind of a higher wage, and they should get a higher wage, and everything is going to snowball to the point where that employer is going to say, okay, the heck with it, or other words to that effect, I'm going to eliminate that job.
Exactly, like Jerry said, that the stores are getting these self-checkouts.
Yep.
And, I mean, they're getting easier and easier to operate. Even I can operate them once in a while.
No, I don't even try.
But there's one thing that Jerry mentioned, I'll be real quick, is what I remembered growing up when I was in grade school and that there, the theme was, ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country.
John F. Kennedy. I remember it well. And as a matter of fact, I'm not bragging, but I can remember vividly that speech. I watched it on TV when I was in high school.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. Doug, I got to run. I'm way late. Thanks.
Yeah, we got to get back to that. Anyway, everybody, let's do what we can for our senior centers. Let's go eat there, support them, donate to them, whatever you can do. Volunteer to help.
All right, sir. Thank you. Caller, I'll be right there, I promise. Hang on, please. Ark Animal Hospital at 750 21st Street, near Connection Credit Union in Heyburn. Oh, they take care of your pets. Oh, they take care of your large animals, too. Mixed animal practice, and they want healthy animals for you. That's right. With the warmer temperatures coming on, be aware they need a lot of water out there. Make sure their tubs, pans, or whatever don't run out of water. And all the ticks and the flies are out there. Oh, make sure your animals stay healthy. Please, if there's a problem, call them at 678-1177. That number again, 678-1177. Ark Animal Hospital at 750 21st Street, near Connection Credit Union in Heyburn. And it's so true. They have the warm hearts for the cold noses. Call her real quick, and then I've got to give away some cookies. You got on the air. Go ahead.
Okay. How about $35 for a cheeseburger and fries?
There you go. Inflation with $15 minimum guaranteed wage. I agree with you.
Yeah. And on the other thing about California, didn't they just start to give illegals free medical care?
Yeah, the state of California has voted to spend $98 million of the California taxpayers' money to provide free health care to illegals. Now, might I remind you that Vermont tried this, and that idea was so stupidly put together that they flushed it down the drain. It's not going to work, and the taxpayers should be picking up pitchforks in California and marching on the Capitol in Sacramento.
Well, that's why we left California. We saw something like this coming a long time ago.
You were so observant. God bless you and Mary. Hi. You know what I tried to do yesterday before church? I had a little extra time, and I was trying to find your place, and I forgot where you lived.
Oh, geez. Yeah, Mary was just talking about you yesterday, too. She said, when are we going to get together with Deanne and Zeb for lunch, for breakfast?
Well, we will. We tried to find your place just to drop in and say hello, and I got lost. I'm sorry. God bless you, Tony. Thanks.
Okay, bye.
All right, take care. It's time to give away some cookies, and we want to say a big thank you to Sophie's Chatterbox at 530 East Street in Rupert. Oh, what a bakery. Oh, what a restaurant. You'd better get over there. Really nice people. Yeah, I still giggle about that story I heard from a source that absolutely is 100% guaranteed, that there was a gentleman that won cookies here not too many weeks ago and stopped in to grab the cookies before he went to the emergency room. I'm not kidding. What dedication. Well, we're going to give away some more cookies right now to Sophie's Chatterbox. Now, listen carefully to this question. I know that everybody knows the answer, okay? In the movie Quigley Down Under with Tom Selleck, remember that? It was a great, great movie. I enjoyed it. It took place over in Australia. In the movie Quigley Down Under, the girl in the movie kept calling him, Quigley, by a different name. What was the name she kept calling Quigley other than his name in the film? Tom Selleck played the part of Matthew Quigley, but the girl kept calling him by a different first name. What was it? First person to call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587 is going to win the cookies, and it looks like we might have a winner. Good morning, you're on the air.
Yeah, I'm a real winner. Roy!
Earl, you son of a gun, you have won the cookies, and I hope you like sugar cookies without frosting, because you got to share them half with me.
Those are the best cookies in the world, and when I pick them up, I think I'll get an extra dozen.
Well, I'll tell you what, you're a good man. Earl Worthen, you are the winner of our cookies. It was Roy, and you're 100% right. Thank you for calling in. We appreciate it. Let him know when you'll be over to pick up your cookies.
You bet.
All right, Earl, thank you. Thank you, my friend. Yep, she kept calling him Roy all the time in the first part of the film. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. My grandma used to say, "Hi, when she was disgusted with something. And I'm going to tell you what we all should be disgusted about in just a moment. Don't forget our friends at Berry Equipment and Rental. Boy, do they do a nice job. 3 locations, too. One in Burley at 159 West Highway 30 in Burley, and they've got that great big sandbox out behind so they can teach you how to run all the equipment if you're not sure how. And then another location at 465 Addison Avenue West in Twin Falls with Eli and the crew. And the Nampa location. I found that when I was up there a couple of weeks ago. Okay, well, I'll tell you what, for lifting, digging, pushing, and carrying and all the tough jobs, they've got all the equipment, the Doosan wheel loaders and excavators. Oh my. And a great selection of all the Bobcats in various sizes. You just get on into Berry Equipment and Rental. Burley, Twin Falls, and Nampa. Like I said, you got tough jobs, you can bet they can help you at Berry Equipment and Rental. Yep, Grandma used to say, ay, all the time. The politicians in our country that are sitting there behind their great big desks with their three-piece suits and wingtip shoes, not all of them, not all of them, but the majority are really stupid and definitely not overworked. But I would dare to say overpaid. I just don't understand what's going to happen in this country, because right now, leading up to 2020, we are looking at a full court press again by the Democratic Party that seems to have lost their mind. They are going to try to bring out of the woodwork and out of the cobwebs an attorney that was highly prevalent in the 1970s with the Nixon Watergate scandal, John Dean, and they're going to try to utilize this felon, and that's what he is, John Dean, to perhaps cause all kinds of uproar in the possibility of impeaching President Trump. I mean, you just couldn't write a movie or a play that would depict the stupidity of what's going on here. And the negativity of the Democrats, that I'm going to refer to them from now on, and I mean this. I'm not going to refer to them as Democratic Party anymore. I'm going to refer to them as the Left Socialist Party. Now, for those of you that are maybe upset about that and call it name-calling, well, that's what they are. They have turned into the leftist socialist party of the United States. And the extreme left is forcing the play calling of the Democratic Party, the AOCs, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez's, and others, Ilhan Omar. And the so-called moderate Democrats are running with their hair on fire. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning again. Speaking of John Dean, I can remember this because I'm old. But anyway, didn't they take his license as an attorney when he went to prison?
Yeah, I believe John Dean has been disbarred. Now, if I'm wrong on that, I will stand a correction and I will apologize for that statement. However, this true statement of being a felon, yes, he was. Being a liar, yes, he was. And why would the Democrats want to use them as a poster boy to try to initiate and instigate and promote more against Donald Trump? It's beyond me.
I have the answer. Because he hates Republicans.
That's true. That really is true. He doesn't care at all for the Republican Party, and quite frankly, it wouldn't surprise me in the smallest degree to have this man get up and lie, cheat, steal, and be a fraud, but that's what he's used to.
Yeah, and it's just not going to... How can you drag something... if you were dragging something down the road behind your car, wouldn't it eventually just disappear?
Well, let me ask you a question. Keith, and I've got to keep this short because I've got some more commercials I have to get in. For the next 30 seconds, pretend that you're a Democrat. Pretend that you're an advocate of going after Trump no matter what. Please, while you're pretending for 30 seconds, tell me the value of extending more over and above the Mueller report. What do you hope to achieve, and what do you hope it will bring against this country and or Donald Trump? Really, what's the net result you're looking for?
Well, the result is to destroy the Republican Party altogether.
That's true.
One-party government, which will be theirs, and it will be a socialist style.
I think you've summed it up very well. I think the Democrats are going to use this ploy of Trump is guilty of collusion, Trump did this, Trump did that, all the way up till the 2020 elections. They're going to use anything negative they can because they don't have a platform. Not one of these people, whether it's Kamala Harris or Bug-Eyed Booker or any of them, have anything to stand on.
Well, I want you to talk to people and ask them if they're a true Democrat, what are they going to use for impeachment?
Yeah.
What can they possibly bring against this guy that's an impeachable offense?
Well, this is the first time in my life that I've ever seen the creation of a crime to create somebody guilty. In other words, if there was a crime committed, then you would go to court and you would go ahead with the punishment proceedings. But now they're trying to create a crime so that then they can go ahead with impeachment proceedings. This is despicable. Keith, I got to run, but I do thank you for your calls and comments. Thank you.
The investigators.
Amen to that. Thank you. One thing, and I really appreciate your calls, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Dino Septic Service, my, they've expanded their business. They are bigger and better and can serve more people with the best of septic tank pumping. Did I say that right? Septic tank pumping. There you go. I thought I bit my tongue a little bit. Septic tanks and drain fields installed, liquid waste removal, septic inspections, sewer and sink drain lines cleaned. Oh, yeah, they do it all, and so much more. I urge you to call these folks. Fast, fair, friendly service. How do I know? Because I've used them. I know. 436-6526 or 678-1638. With a big truck that says smells cargo, on the way to serve you, Dino's Septic Service. You call them today. Really nice people. I want to just get this note in real quick. A very, very nice man passed away a couple of days ago. And I absolutely, every time he called, and every time my wife and I talked to him on the phone, he was just so nice and so congenial all the time. And that was Colonel Dale Whipple. Passed away at age 89. He had a full life, a very happy life, shared with me many of his life's interesting moments. And I just want to say that he was so friendly and so nice to us that he will be remembered. Colonel Dale Whipple. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. This story is absolutely, boy, it's kind of spooky. There's something going on in the Dominican Republic. People are dying over there. Not just people, but all Americans. Americans are dying over there. And they don't understand why some people are dying over there, whether they've ingested some kind of poison or whatever the case might be. But now, even Red Sox slugger, former Boston Red Sox star standout, David Ortiz, was over in the Dominican Republic, and he was shot last night in the back. And they've had to remove part of his intestine and colon, along with his gallbladder, after a man walked up to him, behind him, in a nightclub, and Ortiz was doing nothing wrong. All the witnesses say that saw this man just walked up, drew a gun out of his pants, and shot Ortiz in the back. Wow. I mean, for those that are thinking about taking vacations, honeymoons, whatever, over to the Dominican Republic, think again. You might want to have a ticket change to another location. They say that Ortiz is stable at this point. His father and family lives over in the Dominican Republic. And the people that were there, they grabbed the shooter and they beat him so severely that they said that it's going to be a long time until the shooter is going to be able to answer questions. Now, I know what I'm about to say is going to rile a lot of people, but the fact is, when something like this happens, and the general public gets a hold of this guy, because Ortiz was a very well-respected, loved individual. And they grabbed this shooter and they just literally beat the dickens out of this person. Maybe it'll help people realize, ooh, if I do that and I get caught, there's going to be trouble in River City. I can tell you this, that the justice system down there is a little bit different than ours. And I'm sure that this guy that was the shooter this morning is rethinking his actions. Calls are welcome in just a few moments. Going to do the weather forecast real fast. And the weather, of course, brought to us this hour by Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids, right behind the Minidoka Hospital, across from the emergency room. And the number to call to make an appointment to have a hearing screening, to have your hearing checked, 312-0957. That number again, 312-0957. Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids, and they really care. Every person is treated as an individual, and every person's hearing problems are looked at individually so that they can and they will help you. Call them today, 312-0957, and that's Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids. And right now, here's the old Scott Man with the weather.
Well, it looks like a much sunnier, at least beginning of the week. Good morning with your Zeb at the Ranch weather forecast. I'm Scotty Cameron. For today, looking for sunshine. Highs are going to be around 78. Mostly clear skies tonight and a low of 44. More of the same for tomorrow. Sunshine and 81. Mostly clear tomorrow night with a low of 50. Then for Wednesday, sunshine and 84. Mostly clear Wednesday night, a low of 54. As we move into Thursday, maybe a small chance of showers in the afternoon and a high of 82. Thursday night, mostly cloudy, a low of 54. And for Friday, mostly sunny and 83. That's your Zeb at the Ranch weather forecast. I'm Scotty Cameron. Have a great day.
No, I tell you, Scotty, thank you. Good job. Good job. And right now, I also want to remind you about some other folks that do a good job, and that's Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids. I urge you to get that appointment for a hearing screening because true diagnostic testing will help you know what the causes of your hearing loss are. Call them today at 312-0957. Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids. The word that is being used for Donald Trump and this administration to start and perpetrate the idea of higher tariffs to Mexico, to stop the invasion at our border, is brilliant. You know, this is really interesting to me because that word over the weekend by not so committed liberal Democrats and liberals in the media, they wouldn't give Trump any praise. You can bet on that. But there have been people involved in politics and analysts that have said, absolutely brilliant. What Trump is doing to force Mexico into strengthening their borders, which also in turn strengthens our borders, the tariff idea looks like it's going to work. Already Mexico is showing signs of tougher, much tougher policies on the border. But then the NRB naysayers, oh, by the way, NRB stands for not real bright. There have been many, many newspaper articles calling Trump a bully. The Illustrious Times News carried that one the other day, and the headline was, "Why is Trump trying bullying again? If it works, who cares?" And that's exactly what's happening down there. What are your thoughts? If it works, who cares? We have to shore up our borders. We cannot absorb 150,000 people a month. We cannot absorb everybody coming into this country on our dime. This has got to stop. Instead of calling him a bully, I would say bully for Trump. Yay! But he'll never get the credit. Never. Speaking of bullies, This quick story this morning in my old home state of Wisconsin. And very unfortunately, sometimes my old home state of Wisconsin tends to be very liberal, if you will. But in this case, the town of Wisconsin Rapids, and I've been there many, many times, they are going to try a new policy. And I want you to call me and let me know if you agree with this policy or not. They are going to try the policy of holding parents responsible for their children that bully and beat other kids. And with that responsibility also comes the very strong possibility the parents will pay fines. Now, I thought about that, and I kind of like this idea. Hello, Mr. and Mrs. Smith. Now, we've told you that your son, Johnny, he has a tendency to beat up on the other kids and take their lunch money and then also take their candy bars or whatever. We can't have this anymore, so what we're going to do is impose a fine on you because you're not teaching your kid how to get along. He doesn't play well with others. I like that. What are your thoughts? Give me a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. While I'm waiting for your call that I know is coming in, I want to remind you, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers have the best doggone tires ever. For all vehicles, all driving needs. That's right. Not brag, just a fact. And many of which are on sale right now. So I urge you to get a hold of them today. Stop in and check out the tires that you need for your cars, your pickups, SUVs, horse trailers, boat trailers, camp trailers, whatever it might be. They've got all the tires. Like the Ultra Z900 all-season traction tire up to 80,000-mile warranty. Whoa, I'll tell you what, you check it out today at any one of the 7 locations. Lane and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family in Paul, Daniel on Pole Line in Twin Falls, and Trent on Overland in Burley. The best, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. All right, how about a call? What do you think about finding the moms and the dads, calling them up on the telephone and saying, hello, this is Superintendent so-and-so, and we've warned you and warned you and warned you, and now there's going to be an imposition of a fine on your child because you're not doing the parenting that you should be doing to teach Johnny not to whoop up on other kids. What do you think about that? Give me a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. By the way, very nice lady sent me a notice about the Cassia County Historical Museum, and they're going to have on this Wednesday a lecture on family history. It's going to be at 6:30 p.m. It's going to be presented by David Badger, Director of Family History Center. The lecture will be right there at the museum in Burley, and light refreshments will be provided. Once again, that's going to be a lecture on family history this Wednesday, June 12th at 6:30 p.m. at the museum, so don't miss that. Caller, you're on the air, and good morning to you.
Well, a good morning to you, too. You know, a bully just didn't become a bully overnight. His parents are part of his problems, so how are you going to go to the parents and talk them into paying a fine?
Well, you could, and I'm just going off the top of my head here, Keith, you could say, okay, Johnny's out of school until you pay this fine, or we have assurances that there's not going to be any more bullying at our school because it's not acceptable, and he's suspended. And you've got to make some strong threats to the parents so that they'll start adhering that maybe Johnny's not such a nice kid after all.
Yeah, and then that next thing that comes up is the lawsuit.
You know,
on my child.
You, wait a minute, though, Keith. I'm almost of the point that we're too concerned about lawsuits. We're too concerned about, what'll they do to us? You know, I think that we've got to get back to law and order in our society. And the bad people with evil means, they cannot be in control. We've got to stop it. I don't care if it's a little kid in 6th grade that's bullying, or I don't care if it's some creep that walks down the street all of a sudden hitting people. You've got to stop it and forget the doggone lawsuits. Get these people and make sure they understand you can't do that.
Well, yeah, but what's going to happen if it becomes kind of a big deal and it gets out? These lawyers will start calling the parents and tell them, hey, you're not being treated fairly. We got to help you out. Blah, blah, blah.
You're looking at one side of the issue. You're looking at one side of the issue that I don't even want to think about. I just think we got to clean up Dodge City, and Dodge City needs to get rid of a lot of the vermin that are causing the problem, and any means necessary. I've got to run, old buddy. I've got to go to the news. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
You bet, bye.
All right, we're going to be back in about 7 minutes. Don't go away. Richard Manning coming up. Don't miss him. Oh, my. Good morning. I say that with a little bit more enthusiasm because sunshine and warmer temperatures, I love it. Absolutely love it. Zeb at the Ranch brought to you by, of course, our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. All 7 locations with all the tires you need for your safe driving. Stop in and see them today. Along with some of our great advertisers like Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley, helping you get back to being you. Right now, let's have old Wheels play this good word for Western Waste.
From the canyons of the Snake River and all across southern Idaho, we're always at your disposal. Western Waste Services, we care about our community, our resources, and this great land. Western Waste Services is lending a hand, always at your disposal. Western Waste Services.
Oh, they just love trash. They do at Western Waste Services. They think trash all the time because they want to better serve you in getting rid of your trash. All you have to do to get on the route service is give them a call at 734-6969. That number again, 734-6969. It's true. They are always at your disposal. Call them today. Western Waste Services, 734-6969. Hey, by the way, don't forget, we're going to go fishing. What? Yes, sirree, Bobby. We're going to go fishing starting on Wednesdays at 10:06 with Josh Anderson over to Sportsman's Warehouse. We're going to revive the show from last year, the old fishing hole, and he's going to tell us everything about fishing. I know Wheels is excited about that. It's coming up and brought to you by Sportsman's Warehouse in Twin Falls, and that's going to be, of course, starting this Wednesday, June 12th at 10:06. Want to remind you, too, about our dear friend, and he has been a dear friend to this program and to so many people in this area, Joel Heward at Hanson Mortuary. Don't forget, they're located at 710 6th Street in Rupert. Number to call, 436-5636. You know, when there's a time of need for Hanson Mortuary to serve you with the passing of a loved one, I urge you to call that number. They always provide the families they serve with the best possible support and comfort, and always with the highest ethical standards, with unquestioned integrity. Hanson Mortuary in Rupert, 436-5636, and Joel Heward also serving you at Morrison Payne Funeral Home on East Main in Burley. Right now, ladies and gentlemen, it is time to go to the Karnak of politics. He knows the answers and describes them very well. Good morning to our dear friend, President of Americans for Limited Government, Richard Manning.
Hey, this is actually Robert Romano, Vice President of Public Policy at Americans for Limited Government. I'm filling in for Rick.
Well, by golly, what was your name again, sir? I wanted to make sure I wrote it down.
Robert Romano.
Robert, I want to say thank you. May I ask, is Richard all right? Everything's okay, I hope.
I think he has a pretty bad cold. He's at home right now, so I apologize to your listeners who are expecting to hear from Rick right this second.
Well, I'll tell you what. I want you to go down to the store and buy him an adult beverage and take it over to him and tell him it's from me for his cold.
Sure will.
All right. Robert, now that I've got you on the phone, and I appreciate this, I've got to ask you, how in the world do you suppose the Democrats are going to fly this impeachment or fly this banner of we've got to get Trump at any and all costs leading up to the 2020 elections? How is this going to work? Explain it to me.
I don't think it's going to work out to their advantage, frankly. The Democrats across the country, and not just merely inside the Beltway, are split on the idea of impeaching President Trump. And when you look at some polling on this, only about half of Democrats support that, and very small, and about 10% want to see President Trump finish out his term. Most Republicans, nearly all Republicans, want President Trump to finish out his term, and a clear majority of independents want President Trump to fill out his term. So if Democrats go ahead with impeachment, they'll satisfy their base, but they could lose the middle and get trounced in the 2020 elections. On the other hand, if they don't do impeachment, then they're going to be disenfranchising their own base, and they might get trounced in 2020. So I say they're darned if they do, darned if they don't. So bring it on.
Well, Robert, wait a minute. You used the terminology fill out his term. All of us want to see him fill out his term, but what about the re-election? Are they going to ride this horse all the way through the election, hoping that it will bring Trump down? When you're talking about the economy, and you're talking about making the people that are connected to NATO pay their fair share, and there's been millions and millions of dollars that have been garnered by Trump, and we're talking about the tariff situation in Mexico to force Mexico to start adhering more to their borders and not allowing illegals across into our border. I mean, all the positives are there. What kind of a platform are they running on?
Well, they're not Trump, and I think they're hoping to hamper him so much that the American people just kind of say, oh, well, this is too much trouble. I support Trump, but this is too much trouble. We got to let the Democrats control everything. And I don't think that I think, frankly, the American people who support President Trump are infuriated by what the Democrats have done with this fake Russia collusion hoax. The fact that they don't want to back him on getting tough with Mexico on illegal immigration and on trade. Democrats are supposed to be, good on trade issues, but apparently, not if President Trump's running that banner. So I think that President Trump did the right thing with the tariffs. It proves that the tariffs actually work. He got concessions. They're going to do something on the border now. Well, that wouldn't have happened without the tariffs and without President Trump's leadership. And I think that's what's going to be playing in the minds of the American people as we move forward here. Who's demonstrating leadership? Who's putting America first?
I talked to many, many people, Robert, over the course of the last couple of weeks from all walks of life, whether it's agriculture, lawyers, doctors, etc., business people that depend somewhat on products coming up from the South, to a person. Every single one I talked to said, you know what, this might hurt for a little while, but the general good of what's going to come out of this with the tariffs in Mexico is that we have got to have something as far as sovereignty on our borders. What have you heard back in your neck of the woods? Are people for this or against it?
Yeah, the activists we communicate with, they're very much in favor of this. They're following President Trump's lead. And maybe they're surprised, but I'm not, by how quickly Mexico came to the table and were willing to make concessions on the border to secure their border to stop this migrant caravan from coming in. I mean, the amount of people that are coming in it's accelerating. Just the apprehensions on the southern border was 103,000 in March, 109,000 in April, and then up to 144,000 in May. That's Customs and Border Patrol data. And this has been accelerating, and it's because Mexico is allowing all these people to basically walk across their country and say, and take transportation. Say, go to America. So President Trump said, we're going to hit you with tariffs. They're going to escalate to 25% by October if you don't do something. So now they say they're doing something. President Trump has reserved the right to impose the tariffs if they don't follow through on what they're saying. but maybe we've come to a new understanding here, and we can. America is obviously in the dominant position on trade, and those tariffs are incredibly useful. They bring China to the table. They bring Mexico to the table. These discussions would not be happening without President Trump in office, and they need to happen because illegal immigration is a huge problem. Trade and jobs going overseas. That's why Trump got elected. That's why he won the Rust Belt in Pennsylvania and Ohio and Michigan. Those voters have been left behind by the Obama and the Democrats and frankly Republicans. The Trump beat back the Republican establishment just as much as he did the Democratic establishment in 2016.
You know, I don't know what area you're in. By the way, if I may be so rude as to ask, where are you right now, Robert, making this call?
We're in Fairfax, Virginia, at the Office of Americans for Limited Government.
Okay, well then I'm out here in Idaho, and I think that maybe you'll agree with me, maybe you won't. I don't know. But I've talked to so many people that absolutely are adamant that we have to close our borders. We, the taxpayers of the United States, cannot absorb all the illegality coming across our borders. The estimates of over 1.6 or 1.7 million new illegal aliens coming into this country this year alone. And the infrastructure, education, food, etc., we just can't afford this anymore. Something has got to be done. But yet, the one organization that can do and solve the problem, Congress, I've never seen or heard of a more slovenly bunch than what they are right now.
Oh, they're pathetic. I'll be perfectly honest with you. With what President Trump is doing, the paltry sums that he got from Congress, plus the reprogramming of military construction funds, the Army Corps of Engineers reports about 450 miles of wall, and that includes repairs, but basically more wall is going to be up before the end of 2020. And as quickly as that's going up, obviously it's not enough, and Congress needs to do more. And yes, we support the wall. We supported President Trump in this endeavor, and Congress needs to do more in this area. They need to fix the asylum laws so that people aren't just declaring asylum on the border and then we're compelled to take them in by the letter of the law. I think all these things need to be repaired. President Trump's the only one that's doing anything about it. And members of Congress, as I mentioned, they're pathetic.
Well, you know, when you say the word pathetic, though, I mean, what do we do to get their attention, Robert? I mean, whether it's our senators from the state of Idaho or our congressmen, I mean, I'm sick and tired of them sending little letters out that say, I did this and I did that. I don't care about a singular attitude. I want some teamwork back there to get this border crisis and other things taken care of, but I don't see that.
I think that they're still waiting for President Trump to either get impeached or removed or not reelected. And so the biggest message your listeners can send is reelecting President Trump.
Go ahead. Please finish.
Oh, well, I mean, if they reelect President Trump, that's going to send the clearest message. You want to know how to get their attention? Say, we meant it when we voted for Trump in 2016, and then what better way to get their attention than having a president who supports the American people and what they believe about getting the border under control.
Absolutely. We have a caller with a question. Go ahead. Quickly, caller. You're on the air, please.
Yes, this is just a comment. I'm old enough to remember when the Democrats said, Nancy Pelosi and Schumer, if you reopen the government, we'll come to the table and work out immigration. That's my comment.
All right, we'll have him respond. Robert, respond to that, please.
Well, I think we're seeing the Democrats' true colors. They don't want to deal with anything. They don't want to deal with immigration. They don't want to do anything on infrastructure. They're not. Where are they on the the improved NAFTA? Democrats are supposed to be, they wanted to get rid of NAFTA. Well, here's their opportunity. President Trump's going to pull out of NAFTA, or they're going to adopt this new trade deal that's supposed to be better. So, but are they acting on any of this stuff? Are they putting the American people first and the America first? No, they're trying to get rid of Donald Trump because they still can't get over the 2016 election. When are they going to start working for the American people? They're pathetic, too.
Let me ask you this, Robert. What good, honestly, and I know that I just absolutely am an attack dog against the Democrats mostly, but what good could possibly come out of these hearings led by Jerry Nadler and Adam Schiff and others for a renewing of more study about collusion and everything. What good is going to come out of John Dean from 45 years ago? John Dean a felon, John Dean a crook, John Dean that hates Republicans, and his testimony. Please help me. What good could possibly come out of that?
It'll expose Democrats for being, still heck bent on getting rid of President Trump. I mean, I think that they're basically setting the table for how the American people are going to perceive the House majority in Congress. So if it might compel people to say, you know what, we were better off with the Republicans in charge of the House, even as, they got a few things done. When they opened up Anwar, they got the tax cuts for, the vast majority of Americans through. They got rid of the individual mandate for Obamacare. That's better than what we're getting right now out of these Democrats in Congress. All they want to do is investigate stuff that's already been investigated. But if they want more disclosure, all right, we support that too. We want to see Attorney General Barr and President Trump declassify all of the origins of this stupid Russia collusion hoax, and we can find out what really happened.
I made a statement on my program about 3 weeks ago. I said that by the end of June, it was not only my wish, but it was my prognostication that we would see a complete diminishment of the numbers in favor of Joe Biden. We would start to see slippage. We would start to see Joe Biden falling apart as the Democratic leader. What are your thoughts? Am I right or wrong?
I think that his credibility nationwide is going to suffer as we hear more from him. I mean, world leaders are begging him to run for office. He's running for president of the world, I guess. And he doesn't think China is competition for us. Of course they're competition for us. They've been eating our manufacturing market share for close to 20 years now since they entered the WTO. So I think on the issues, Joe Biden will rise and fall. In terms of the weak Democratic field he's running against, I'm not surprised he's doing as well as he is in the polls on the Democrat side. He was vice president, he's that just with that alone, he's got a lot of name ID. He ran with Obama.
When do you think, and you're closer to this than I am, Robert, but when do you think there's going to be a thinning of the herd, if you will, from the 24, 96, whatever the number of Democrat possible nominees are? When do you think they're going to start to cull out all the ones that are just dead wood and try to center on a very few?
Probably you'll see a pretty crowded field up until Iowa and then New Hampshire. Anyone who doesn't place in first or second in those states really has no business being in the field. I think that if you look at the data, you see very few nominees have ever been nominated without winning Iowa or New Hampshire. The one in most recent memory was Bill Clinton. So I suppose you could justify staying in until South Carolina. If after South Carolina you ain't won a primary or a caucus, you're finished. You're not going to... That's when you'll see the herd thinning, and then which is what happens every time.
We have a caller with another comment and a question for you, Robert. Stand by, caller, please. You're on the air. Thank you.
Well, in the afternoon, Ben Shapiro was on here locally, and he had done some polling. He had a poll that were taken in maybe Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, and even one in Texas. And it showed Biden beating Trump in those states, including Texas. And it was close, but you say to yourself, I get the feeling that when people answer polls, that they really don't want to admit that they like Trump and what he has done. I mean, I can't imagine how anybody who is, alive and thinking would not realize all of the good things that he has done for everybody across the board. How would those polls be even remotely close to accurate? I'll hang up.
That's really, I think, a good question, Robert, in regards to polls and the authenticity and honesty of polls. I'd like you to respond to that, please.
Sure. President Trump underpolled in 2016 as well. That's why the model used by 527 and Nate Silver predicted with like 95% certainty that Hillary Clinton was going to win the election, because they look at the polls and they say, well, we'll average out the polls. And, Trump's losing all the polls, therefore Trump's going to lose. But Trump won. He did better than the polls suggested. So you take a huge grain of salt with the polls. There is a component of Trump supporters who just don't want to talk to pollsters, and there's such a public kind of shaming that goes on with people just wearing "Make America Great Again" hats. I mean, they're trying to make it intolerable to be a Trump supporter. All I would say is that the American people, they need to hold firm and they need to stand strong and they need to be, proud of an America First president. It's the first time in a couple decades that I think we've had one, and so when you get one that's that good, you don't want to let go. So I think that people will the normal trends and factors that play into presidential reelection cycle. Trump's now no worse off than Reagan was in 1983, frankly, with the polling.
We're hearing...
what they're trying to do is encourage a Republican to wage a strong challenge against him. If nobody's challenging Trump seriously for the primary, I expect that he'll do rather well in the general election once people look at the issues and look at the candidates.
I got to ask you one final thought. I got about 3 minutes left here, Robert. But when you look at some of the states that are led by Democrats and they're trying to repeal, get rid of, or throw away the Electoral College vote, and then you look at the state of California with their idiocy and their leadership down in Sacramento saying that they're going to provide up to $98 million of free health care for illegal aliens, you got to sit back and scratch your head and wonder why the American taxpayer en masse hasn't said enough of this garbage and picked up their pitchforks and marched on every state capital that's advocating this idiocy.
That's a great question. Why do they keep reelecting Democrats in these strongholds? Well, California, I mean, the registration advantage that Democrats have is practically like 2-1. Over other over Republicans, and that's why Republicans are losing there. And so you're not going to see a majority take control in a state like California unless younger Americans are going to start voting Republican. So outreach to young Americans is actually critical to the future survival of the Republican Party, not just in California but in every state. I don't want to say it's something where Republicans have come up short, but if you look at, and frankly, Trump's doing a lot actually to get the youngest Americans, this Generation Z. We're past the millennials now. We're on to the next young generation, and having Trump there is actually, Trump does far better amongst the youngest Americans than he does with millennials.
Ladies and gentlemen, coming in from the bullpen to pitch a good game today, the man by the name of Robert Romano with the Americans for Limited Government. Robert, please go to my dear friend Rick and tell him we wish him well, and thank you so much for filling in this morning. I appreciate it.
No problem, Zeb. You have a good day, and I'll pass on the word.
All right, sir. Thank you very much. Nice man right there, Robert Romano with the Americans for Limited Government. Thank you very much. I want to tell you about Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More. Oh, my. Let me tell you, they are waiting for you to come in and shop for Father's Day. Father's Day is this next weekend. That's right. And you better get in there. Take Dad, put him in the car, put him in the pickup, and just say, we're going to drive you down there, Dad. And let him go in and pick out a recliner that just really fits him. Him. Not anybody else, just him. They've got all the different recliners. I mean, they've got all the massage recliners, the rocker recliners. They've got the lift recliners. Oh, my goodness sakes. And let Dad pick out his recliner for Father's Day at Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More. They've got all your floor covering, your carpet, all your furniture, all your bedroom sets, everything at Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More. 459 Overland in Burley. You stop in and see those good folks today. Also want to remind you about other good folks, and I'm talking about Let's Ride. Boom, boom, get your motor running, and this week especially get outside and just enjoy. That's right, just enjoy the great outdoors with the watercraft and the side-by-sides and the four-wheelers, all of this and so much more at Let's Ride. 270 Highway 24 between Rupert and the World. Oh, boy, this is where I always say the fun is is sold. They're waiting to serve you and help you over at Let's Ride with all the accessories and a great service department to keep you running. What are you waiting for? Stop over. They're open Monday through Friday, 9 to 6, Saturdays, 9 to 4. Let's Ride. 270 Highway 24 between Rupert and the World, where the fun is sold.
Sir?
Yes?
I was just going to ask, do you have a backup for Mr. Bernstein?
I do not have a backup for Mr. Bernstein, but I just talked to him on Friday, and he said he would be there without question. So keep dialing that number, please.
All right, will do, sir.
All right, thank you. Always good news when we don't have a guest lined up, and we do have them lined up. It's just that they're not answering the phone. And by the way, Wheels over at the station doing a great job over there. I appreciate that. He'll keep plugging away at that number, and then maybe we can have Deanne go to the source and we can find out what happened. Calls are welcome and appreciated. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Quick program reminder as we try to get a hold of Josh Bernstein is that at 10:30 this morning, don't forget, we're going to have Vicky's Country Gardens on with the show called Green Thumbs, Dirty Knees, and Vicky's Country Gardening. And please don't forget, if you have questions, to be sure and call in. And hopefully we'll talk to you this morning about any and all of your gardening needs. Calls are welcome. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Give us a call. We were expecting to have Josh Bernstein on our program at this time, and like I said, I just talked to him on the telephone as little as just a couple of days ago, and we'd love to hear his comments. I do have some backup stories that I wanted to mention, and I know these people very, very well, and that's the Bakersfield City Council and also the Kern County Sheriff's Department and others in that area of Bakersfield. A lot of people, when they think of California, they think, and it's unfortunate, about the liberals and the Democrats and the spend, but that's not the case at all when you get into other areas, and Bakersfield is an excellent example. I used to do that rodeo. I announced that Bakersfield rodeo for well over 20 years. Got a lot of friends down there, and I know that they are extremely conservative in their thinking. Well, the Bakers, did we find him?
He's there.
He's there. Wheels, try that. Repeat the number back to me, Wheels, that you're trying to call in case maybe you wrote it down wrong. Give it back to me quickly.
Okay, so it's 480-347-6883.
That's exactly right. He's waiting for your call.
Okay, I'll call him.
All right, thank you. Bakersfield has decided to put on their squad cars, "In God We Trust." And more power to the city of Bakersfield and the police departments down there, because they are leading the pack as far as I'm concerned, and letting all the liberals and the naysayers and the ACLU and others just get out of the way. They're coming through to the support of the majority of the population. They are going to put "In God We Trust" on their police cars, and we salute them. Thank you very much, Bakersfield Police Department. Right now, let's see if old Wheels has got our man ready to go this morning. He said he was waiting there by the call, so we'll see if he's there. Good morning to Josh Bernstein. Are you there? Waiting. Wheels, what's the problem over there? He's probably trying to get him on the phone. I know that just a moment ago, Deanne called, and he said he was waiting for the... Yes.
He's on the phone for you now.
All right, thank you very much. Evidently, we had just a little bit of a problem trying to place our call and get it to him. And that's, of course, Amazon TV talk show host, political analyst. We appreciate him being on our program again. Josh Bernstein, how are you, sir?
Doing fantastic. I guess we just had a little mix there with the
scheduling timing, but no big deal. I'm here. I'm ready to go.
Well, I got to ask you, Josh, after the weekend of taking notes and listening to the Jerry Nadlers and listening to the Adam Schiffs and listening to the likes of Swalwell and others of the Democratic Party, impeach. Well, no, let's not impeach him. Let's just throw him in prison. Have you ever in your life seen anything that is so childish and based on nothingness?
I really honestly haven't. I think it's ridiculous. I think the American people probably see this as ridiculous as well. And again, as I've said on many shows that I've done, I believe this is nothing more than projection. I think that they're scared. They know that the hammer is about to fall and drop on them. And Operation Boomerang that's going on right now with William Barr and John Durham and many of the other investigators, I think is what is scaring them. So, just like Mark Meadows said the other day, he said their best day is behind them. Their best day was when Robert Mueller testified, but yet the House is now picking apart the speech and everything else, and they're finding discrepancies in it. And who knows? Mueller may have to go and testify after all, even though he didn't want to. There's a lot of discrepancies, according to what Mark Meadows was saying, between the report and what Mueller, said.
Well, help me on this one, Josh. Why are they, the Democrats, why are they reaching back into the political and felonious archives and grabbing by the necktie a man that testified and hates Republicans 45 years ago in the Watergate trials, and that was John Dean? Why are they trying to make him the poster boy for going after Trump?
I'm not really sure on that one. John Dean is nothing but, a political hack. He's a CNN analyst, so that kind of explains it right there. And he's been anti-Trump, for years, and he said some vile and, pig-headed, if you will, things about the president, recently in the last couple of months or so. So I'm not really sure what they have up their sleeve. I guess we'll all find out, but I certainly don't think his testimony is going to do anything or move the needle at all for them.
Now, I don't know if you've read the Mueller report, the 400-plus pages. I have read excerpts of it, and I can never attest that I've read the whole thing because I don't want to be bored into submission. But when you look at this whole thing, the Mueller report, and there never was any real direct finger-pointing of any wrongdoing whatsoever, why in the world, in your opinion, do the Democrats want to hang their hat on more investigation leading up to 2020 other than it's just hate Trump?
It is. It truly is. It's hate Trump, but more than anything else, it's let's poison the well. Let's try to get the American people turned off to the president. Let's see if we can paint this picture of this person as an absolute monster so that we can win in 2020. We can't impeach him. He didn't do anything wrong. We didn't win the election in 2016, so we will not accept the legitimate fact that we lost the election. And so therefore, if we can't impeach him, if we can't get him out of office, then we'll just poison the American public to think that he's such a monster that we'll win in 2020. That's what this is all about. This has nothing to do with impeachment. This has nothing to do with trying to remove him from office, in my opinion. I see this as nothing more than a political witch hunt, again, political witch hunt 2.0, if you will. And it's not going to work because, the information that's coming out through the project, Boomerang, Operation Boomerang that's going on is devastating. I mean, there's a report right now that in the Mueller report alone, there was a witness that was mentioned over 100 times. Turns out that witness was extremely close to Loretta Lynch and Hillary Clinton. There's now another report that at least one of the 302 reports may have been modified or changed in Michael Flynn's indictment. That's something else that's coming out. There's so much little nuggets that are coming out
that these people are just going to get buried in these lies, I think.
Josh, let me throw this at you. Let me set this up a little bit. I am really concerned. I'm not saying I'm scared, but I'm saying I'm really concerned that the American public, because I still think today most people are getting their news, if you want to call it that, from the CBS's, ABC's, and CNN's, etc. And I'm concerned because of the absolute bigoted and left-leaning media that they're going to distort this thing, and it could hurt the possibility for Trump being reelected in 2020. Do you think I'm wrong?
No, I don't think you're wrong at all. I think you're absolutely correct. I've been saying that now for a long time. This is not a shoo-in. I mean, the greatest economy we've ever seen, the lowest, unemployment rates, the most people working, all of the things that he's been able to accomplish. The fact is that most of the people don't know, because the media refuses to tell them about it. And so the media is doing a disservice, obviously, to the American people and public, and they're continuing to do that. So, look, I think that, the people that are paying attention obviously know what's going on, and, they're going to do the right thing. I think his base of support is pretty darn strong as far as people that voted for him in the past. I don't think that's going to change much. I think there's many people that maybe didn't vote for him that may now still vote for him, and because they've seen the results. But again, there's a large percentage of the population that just has no clue how great we're truly doing as a nation. And again, you can blame that on the Pravda media here in America. And I think it's sad, and it's been by design. This is what they want to do. So, look, one of the things President Trump needs to do, and he's starting to do, he came out on Twitter and he said that Twitter should reinstate all the people that were banned, all the conservatives that were banned from social media. He better do it. He better do it whether, what I would suggest he does, instead of just talking and tweeting about it, direct your FCC and Ajit Pai, the head of the FCC, to find these platforms multi-million dollars daily until they reinstate these people. That's what I would tell him to do and direct him to do.
Absolutely. We have a caller with a question and a comment. Go ahead, caller. Quickly, you're on the air. Thank you.
Well, the other day I was on YouTube, and I know it was showing all the people that said Trump would never be elected president. And two of his biggest fans, Lou Dobbs and this senator from South Carolina, Lindsey Graham, they both are, let's face it, they're pretty much in his camp. Lou Dobbs loves him. So, you're right. I think a lot of people secretly, and I've just said this with Zeb's last guest, they secretly really like what he's doing and understand, but they would never admit it in front of anybody. I live in Idaho, and I wouldn't probably wear a MAGA hat around town anyway, and I'm pretty fearless, but I still wouldn't do it. So, still, liking Trump is something that is kind of a closely held secret for most people, and so I think that's how I feel. Okay, I'll hang up.
Respond to the caller, if you would, please.
Well, unfortunately, there are a lot of Americans that do feel that way. I'm certainly not one of them. I'll do anything. I'll wear a shirt anywhere. As a matter of fact, yesterday, I was out with one of my favorite T-shirts, which is a black T-shirt with the map of California painted red with a hammer and sickle in the middle of it. So, I have no problem expressing my views. That's certainly for sure. But yeah, there are quite a few Americans that refused to do that. And obviously we saw that in 2016, which were the people that would not talk about it publicly, but yet knew in their heart of hearts what to do, and they went to the voting booths and they took care of it, which is why all the polling was wrong. Hopefully that's another, repeat, that we see that again.
Josh, I'm going to say this, and I want you to rebut it, or I want you to come in and tell me you agree with me. But when you look at the Democrats and the 24, 36, 99, whatever the possible nominees for president out of their party might or may be, and you have the likes of Bill de Blasio, Kirsten Gillibrand, that have the IQ of perhaps a bicycle seat, and they're running for the presidency, what is the platform? Is there a distinguished platform that the Democrats are going to run on other than hate Trump? If there is one, I don't know what it is.
Yeah, I don't think there really is either. I think it's just, I'm not Trump, vote for me. Look, I think they want to bankrupt the country, and they refuse to tell the voters exactly the cost of what they plan on doing to bankrupt the country. They believe in this, crazy Green New Deal. They believe in Medicare for all, which again would bankrupt the country, $32 trillion. Green New Deal, $80 trillion. This is money we don't have. We're $23 trillion in the hole. And then, you add unfunded liabilities, we're at about $100 trillion. So none of these programs will work. I'm pretty confident that, whoever it is, President Trump, if they start bringing up these crazy tactics, would be able to shoot that down pretty much by saying, how are you going to pay for it? I mean, that's the end of that argument for the most part. The problem is the media is not going to do it. The media is going to listen to these people and actually, with a straight face, report on them as if they're legitimate in some respects, which obviously they're not. I mean, a 5-year-old can understand that you can't afford, $84 trillion to do anything. So I think that they're going to obviously run, certainly during the primaries, on an extremely extremist platform. And then they're going to try to, all of a sudden pivot to the middle and say, oh, I didn't really mean it. I'm really about this. And that's what's sad, because many people that are on the fence were going to be like, oh, well, they don't want to do a Green New Deal. They don't want to do Medicare for all now. They're actually, just said that because they were trying to run. And they're going to forgive them. And I think that that's crazy. So I don't know how you can take such extreme positions and then somehow try to pivot to the middle. What President Trump did, or candidate Trump at the time did, that no other person really has done, is he ran in the primary as a conservative, and he won as a conservative, and then he ran in the general as a conservative. And, these pundits in Washington that have absolutely no clue what they're talking about, talk about how you have to run to, support your base, and then in the general election you have to change and you have to run to the middle. No way. That is absolutely wrong, and President Trump proved it. And any president, or Republican for that matter, in the future, better take heed that President Trump was able to run as a conservative and then in the general election still run as a conservative.
One final thought here, and I want to talk about the state of California to wrap this up. Here you have a state that is so liberal, 2-to-1 ratio you said earlier about liberals versus conservatives. But when you get away from Los Angeles, but when you get away from Sacramento and San Francisco, you're talking about the Red Bluff, Californias. You're talking about the Bakersfield, Californias. You're talking about the Fresno and the Clovis areas. And these people are very, very conservative in their thinking. And when you're talking about adding $98 million to cost to the taxpayers to provide illegal aliens with health care, you would imagine and think that people would be outraged, but you don't hear that in California.
No, you really don't, and that's unfortunate. But look, I just did a report just a couple of days ago, as a matter of fact, and I talked about Mr. Clean and Gavin Newsom and London Breed and Willie Brown and, all these other folks, Kamala Harris, all these people that basically have done nothing to clean up California. And I talked about the amount of human waste incidents that have been reported. And in particular, Willie Brown hired this guy, Muhammad Nuru, who was actually nicknamed Mr. Clean. And the guy's been an absolute disaster, and he's never cleaned up the city. He's never cleaned up San Francisco. You had Ed Lee there, who then promoted him to a position that he didn't even deserve to be in. And then we find out that through Willie Brown and all the contacts, Kamala Harris, she's moved all the way up to the Senate. Gavin Newsom's moved all the way up to the governor's mansion. So there's so much rampant corruption in a state like California that it's almost being run literally by like a communist regime, unfortunately. And I did a full report on it. It's on my channel. And it's really sad because they had an opportunity to clean up the city, and they never did. And now it's gotten so bad that people that live there, people that visit, they're like, my God, the smell in the city is absolutely disgusting and horrible. Now we're finding out there's typhoid fever in Los Angeles. A couple of officers were recently having symptoms of that. And then all the illegals, they hand them out driver's licenses as soon as they come into the state, and then they register them to vote. It's just disgusting. I don't know how you fix a state like California, but it certainly has denigrated to what it is now, which is unrecognizable.
One last question. Keep it short. I've only got 2 minutes left, Josh, and I've got to ask you this. With all this turmoil, do you think or project that the Democratic Party will fracture itself and we'll see the Pelosi's and the Durbins and the Schumers on one side and the AOCs and the others, Ilhan Omar and others on the other side? Do you see a fracturing of that party?
If you're talking in the general election, you mean?
Overall, over the next couple of years, because of the absolute intent to turn into a socialist party.
Same thing. A Democrat could literally strangle a little kitten live on television, but because there's a D in front of their name, everything is all forgiven, and the party stays as one, and they vote as one. Republicans don't do that. They'll say, well, candidate A, way back in 1982, voted this way on one bill, so therefore I'm staying home and I'm not voting for them. So Republicans are typically stuck on stupid when it comes to being the fractured party. Unfortunately, Democrats typically don't do that. We did see a schism, obviously, when we found out Hillary Clinton stole the nomination from Bernie Sanders and how she did it and the vindictiveness that she did it with. But ultimately, I think, they tend to stick together a lot more than Republicans, unfortunately.
I tell you, Amazon TV talk show host, political analyst, and a really good guy, Josh Bernstein. Thank you so much. God bless, and please come back on the show in the future.
My pleasure. Anytime, any topic.
All right, sir. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you.
Very well educated on what's happening in politics, Josh Bernstein, and we thank him for being on our show again this morning. Thank you very much. Wow, we've got to get a weather forecast on here, and the weather brought to you this hour by some really great professionals, Phillips, Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company. And they've been providing accounting services to the Mini-Cassia area for well over 50 years. They're the best at what they do, with tax return preparation, tax planning, business consulting, retirement planning, bookkeeping services, all of this and more to help you, your family, and your business. Please get a hold of them today. In Burley and Rupert, the professionals. Phillips, Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company. And right now, here's the old Scott man with the weather.
Well, it looks like a much sunnier, at least beginning of the week. Good morning with your Zeb at the Ranch weather forecast. I'm Scotty Cameron. For today, looking for sunshine. Highs are going to be around 78, mostly clear skies tonight and a low of 44. More of the same for tomorrow. Sunshine and 81, mostly clear tomorrow night with a low of 50. Then for Wednesday, sunshine and 84, mostly clear Wednesday night, a low of 54. As we move into Thursday, maybe a small chance of showers in the afternoon and a high of 82. Thursday night, mostly cloudy, a low of 54. And for Friday, mostly sunny and 83. That's your Zeb at the Ranch weather forecast. I'm Scotty Cameron. Have a great day.
Scotty filling in for Gina. Gina's on vacation this week, and Scotty doing a great, great job. Thank you very much. And the weather this hour brought to you by Phillips, Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company. I don't care if you're involved in agriculture, manufacturing, construction, whatever your business, they can and they will help you with the best of accounting services Services, Phillips, Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company, with offices in Burley and Rupert. Wow. Let's see. What have we got cooking here? Coming up next hour, excuse me, one of my favorite guests, and that's Gregory Wrightstone, and we're going to be talking about the idiocy and incompetency of global warming / climate change. And we're going to talk to Gregory about many, many facets of the new Green Deal that everybody wants to push down our throats. That's coming up at 10:06. Then at 10:30 this morning, Vicky's Country Gardens. And following that, we're going to have a real short visit with VA Administrator Chuck Driscoll in Burley. So he's going to be on the air with us. So we've got a lot of things to take care of. Want to remind you, too, about our dear friends at Cameron and Siemens Insurance, Highway 24 in Rupert. Oh, my goodness, the best of life insurance, health insurance, retirement planning, employee benefits, all of this and so much more. Believe me, they're very dedicated and responsive to your needs. So please, all you need to do is pick up the telephone and give them a call at 436-4424. That number again, 436-4424. Cameron and Siemens Insurance, Highway 24 in Rupert. You be sure and give them a call today. Once again, a reminder that on Wednesday we're going to start our brand new edition this year of the Old Fishing Hole, brought to you by our friends at Sportsman's Warehouse. Oh my, don't you forget, they are absolutely your Father's Day shopping store. I urge you to stop in and see them today at 1940 Bridgeview Boulevard in Twin Falls. Sportsman's Warehouse with Reese and the whole crew. Well, we're going to have the Old Fishing Hole with Josh Anderson. He's going to actually be fishing while we're talking to him. And that's Wednesdays at 10:06. Don't forget it, right here, brought to you by Sportsman's Warehouse. Wow. Hope you had a great weekend. And it looks like we're going to have just a phenomenal week with great weather, warmer temperatures. I urge you to get outside and enjoy everything. And one other real quick note, don't forget Vicky's Country Garden coming up at 10:30 this morning. But I wanted to remind you again about the Cassia County Historical Museum going to have a lecture on family history. It's going to be this Wednesday, June 12th at 6:30 p.m., presented by David Badger, Director of Family History Center, and it's going to be held right there at the museum in Burley on Wednesday at June 12th at 6:30 p.m. Don't forget that. Right now, let's turn it over to Wheels, my old buddy at the main studio. We'll be back in about 7 minutes. Oh, here we go. Hour number 3 already. Zeb at the Ranch on a Monday, June 10th. And, of course, our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. All 7 locations with all the tires you need for safe driving this summer. Absolutely. Stop in and see them today. And don't forget, too, some of our great advertisers like Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley, helping you get back to being you. Want to remind you, you can hear the engines cranking up. Boy, look out. The Idaho Regatta is back. Don't forget, get down on the river June 27th, 28th, 29th, and 30th for the great big Idaho Regatta. This is an Idaho product that absolutely we all should be proud of. Some of these boats are going to be going up to 140 miles an hour. Oh, my goodness, you better get your tickets now. Go to IdahoRegatta.com. I'll say it again, IdahoRegatta.com. Check out all the tickets for Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, June 27th through the 30th, the Idaho Regatta. Man, it's going to be fun. Lots of great boats, lots of great races, a lot of time to meet and greet some of the racers themselves. Don't miss it. Your Idaho Regatta for this year, 2019. Go to IdahoRegatta.com. Right now, we're going to go to the microphone, and one of my favorite guests coming on this program has written a book called Inconvenient Facts, the science that Al Gore doesn't want you to know. And the author of that great book, of which I have a copy right here on my desk, Gregory Wrightstone. Good morning, sir. How are you?
Good morning, Zeb. Great to be back on with you once again.
Well, it's my pleasure to always have you on and debunk all the lies and the stories that are going on regarding climate change / global warming. I was reading in your bio sheets that you've had your book banned by a local library. What's going on up there?
Yeah, not just any library, but my own library. That I've got a library card, and so people told me that the library didn't stock it, so I dropped a couple books off. A couple days later, I got an email, and they said, no, we're returning them. They don't meet our qualifications or some such. And I had a friend that loved my book that sits on their board. He intervened, and they said, oh, we'll reconsider. And so I was just rejected finally last week. They said, in the letter, they said, we value diversity of thought, diversity of opinion, but we're rejecting your book. And it's just, and I went and checked, they have a big shelf full of climate change books that all toe the company line on climate change, that promote this mistaken notion of man-made catastrophic warming. My book, as you know, is a science, fact-based book. It's got 14 pages of reference. It's a science book. It's not a political manifesto. And they rejected it. And at first I was angry, but that quickly passed into just extreme disappointment. Not that my book isn't in the library. That's not a big deal, but rather that my own library would politically restrict what books are on their shelves. And especially, Zeb, how many best-selling authors do you think the library has turned down their book from their own district? Probably zero. Well, one now. What library would do that? The only reason to ban a book would be for pornography or, extreme hate. But it's gotten interesting. We had a commentary that my primary editor wrote up, and it was published the other day in the Western Journal. It's now been republished at Climate Depot and CFACT and the Cornwall Alliance website and quite a few others. And so the library is taking a lot of heat, as they should. This is what they did in the 30s. They were burning books in the square. I wonder, back then if they would be, the librarian there would be yelling, throw more books on the fire, boys,
I'm absolutely taken aback, and Wheels over at the station, we have a little bit of feedback here, Wheels. Please ride that gain. But I'm absolutely taken aback that the climate Gestapo is that strong and that powerful that they can take any book they want off the shelves, and censorship like this is running rampant today. I'm really shocked when I read that statement on your info sheet.
Yeah, it was going to be interesting. The Pittsburgh, I'm calling from Pittsburgh Post-Gazette interviewed me. They're doing an article that runs tomorrow. We talked about it. They did interview the director of the library who sent me the rejection letter. And afterwards, the writer called me back, and she says, well, I have a couple more questions. She had just interviewed the director, and so she asked me, who was the publisher? And I said, well, it was Silver Crown. It was self-published. Okay. And she says, did you have any editors for your book? And I said, yeah, I had 5 editors, gifted editors. So you know where they were going, Zeb? What she's going to do is throw me under the bus for a low-quality book. And we've heard criticisms of the book from alarmists that disagree with my conclusions. Not one person has ever had a word to say about the quality or the readability or the craftsmanship of the book. It's beyond reproach.
Absolutely.
So it'll be interesting to see what we see tomorrow in the article.
Well, okay, I want to move on to another subject, but this is just infuriating to me that I've read your book. I know all the content in your book. I thought it was extremely professionally done, and it lays it out in chapter and verse, and I think that you have absolutely been slighted, and I will go on record as saying so. But now I want to shift gears just a little bit away from your book and talk about some of the Democrats and the Democratic Party are saying, all the species are going to die, they're going to burn up, they're going to fade away, why they can't reproduce because of climate change. I do not know of any logical fact that pertains to any species dying because of the weather. Am I wrong?
No, you're correct. You're absolutely right. And what you're referring to is the UN report a couple of weeks ago that reported that there will be as many as 1 million species extinctions over the next several decades. So I took a look at this that would mean 25,000 to 30,000 species going extinct every year. So I looked at the exact same data that they had and that they reported on and mapped it out on a 10-year basis instead of they lumped it all together by 100 years. And what we found was that there was a lot of species going extinct in the late 1800s and early 1900s, and it's been in a severe decline. The average extinction rate of species per year over the last 40 years is 2 species per year, not 25,000 or 30,000, 2, not 2,000 or 200, 2, which is quite a bit removed. So if they're going to be, there better be some extinction going on, baby. They better pick that rate up. It's just incredible. And they also, in that same report, they stated as a fact that there were 8 million species on Earth. Well, the best estimate and most recent estimate was out of the University of Florida, who estimates around 1.5 million species. So they just made up 6.5 million species that haven't even been identified or named yet. So their predictions, including hundreds of thousands of species that they don't even know anything about that are going to go extinct. It was that angered me whenever I discovered that. Might be one of the more impactful things my research has shown over the last year or more.
Let me ask you this. It seems like, and I'm not sure how to phrase this question, so I'll make it in kind of a statement form. It seems like the Democrats and the 24 supposed nominees for president have jumped on the climate change mantra and are using that, saying we're all going to burn up and die in 12 years, or all these species are going to be extinct, etc. And they're using that to gain the notoriety to the public, and especially Joe Biden recently saying that we're going to go green and we're going to cost us $1.7 trillion. Now, when you look at that, including the cost of health care that's going to be trillions and trillions of dollars to implement, why can't the American public understand that their pocketbooks are going to be opened up and money thrown down the drain by the Democrats? It's going to be cost.
Yeah, I think the voters do know that. I think the majority of people, we've seen recent elections around the world where the left-wing parties around the world, in Australia, in Germany, in Great Britain, they've been defeated. They said climate change and the green movement is at stake in this election, and they got beaten badly. I think people around the world, and even more so in the United States, understand that we can't get off of fossil fuels, that any move away from fossil fuels to renewables is going to hurt them and their family and their pocketbook. It's going to increase their taxes. It's going to raise costs on just about everything they purchase, and it's going to restrict their freedoms. And I think people get it, Zeb. Your listeners surely do, and I think the great unwashed masses across the United States or across this broad country, I think they get it too. They know we can't get rid of airplane travel and beef and cows. It's not going to happen. We don't want it to, because you know my story. What I always, I'm a huge proponent of the benefits of our changing climate, of rising temperatures and increasing CO2, and it's not even close. What we need to be aware of, or if it ever, once it starts getting cold again, and it will, it's going to be horrific, and it'll be bad for everybody.
Absolutely.
By bad, I don't mean costing you more money, but costing people lives. It'll lead to famine, pestilence, and mass depopulation, just like it has over the last 4,000 to 5,000 years of human history. The cold periods are bad, bad, bad. It's opposite of what we're being told.
Let me ask you this, Greg. When you look at what's being imposed on us by the possible Democratic nominees, with the Green New Deal, you must spend this, you have to take care of this, etc., would you agree with me that little by little, even members of the Republican Party and overall our society is maybe unwittingly accepting parts of the Green New Deal with the increased gas and diesel prices and other things that are being forced on the American public? Maybe we say we're against it, but we're being forced upon us. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, it's disappointing. We have some of the, these are some of the old Bush-era Republicans in particular. George Shultz, some of those guys out of the Bush era have joined on to this idea of what they're calling it a free market solution to climate change, where we need to impose a cap and trade system, and they're saying, oh, well, this will all be returned to the population, and all the taxes that's not going to happen. When was the last time Washington or any state capital actually taxed somebody and gave it right back to the people? So it's going to, there's a push on some Republicans, certainly not the conservative branch of the Republican Party, or the Donald Trump supporters, to advance this carbon tax and green energy policies. And they're just wrong. They're just wrong on so many levels.
We have a caller with a comment and a question. Go ahead, caller, please. You're on the air.
Yeah, Earl, can he talk about, I think it's Mayor Bloomberg over there in New York somewhere, and he's got apparently $500 million worth of, or $500 million that he's going to try to shut down the coal industry with.
Right.
And if this gentleman could discuss that, I'd just listen to him on the radio.
I appreciate that, caller. And Earl, thank you. Go ahead, Greg, if you would, please, about the coal industry and Bloomberg.
Yeah, you know what? I saw that yesterday. It was announced, $500 million. I did not. I'll have to apologize. There's so much stuff every day on climate change. I try and keep up on it. I did see Bloomberg was committing $500 million to getting completely rid of the coal industry. I don't understand how he's going to do that unless he's proposing. It's going to take a lot more than that to get renewables up and off the ground. And even then, you're not going to be able to replace that electric that's generated by the coal industry. But yeah, you get crazy people like this and crazy proposals. Your listener there that asked the question knows that that's just not doable and it's not right. We got to let the free markets decide what's going on here and what our best energy choices are. And right now, that's natural gas-fired and coal-fired energy.
You know, Greg, I want you to respond. I was reading it wasn't an Associated Press story. It was put out by Tribune News Service, and the writer was Jonathan Tameri. And he had one paragraph in his story that I want you to respond to, and I'll read it to you. Meanwhile, the increasing frequency and intensity of wildfires, hurricanes, and other extreme events have turned the debate from abstract warnings to something everyday people see and feel. In other words, what he was explaining is saying that we're living in a diminishing value world with everything being such of more intensity than it was in the past. Is that really true or not?
Well, actually, that was just we find just the opposite. They make these crazy statements about increasing weather and increasing wild weather-related deaths. The truth of the matter is, if we look at extreme weather-related fatalities in the United States, it's declined by 98% over the last 80 years. And it continues to decline every year. We're not increasing fatalities from extreme weather. They've plummeted, 98% decline. And we see things like, as you know, we've talked about forest fires. I get rabid and angry about that. They just state that forest fires are increasing because of carbon dioxide and increasing global warming. Just the opposite is occurring. Globally, North America, and even in California, the number of fires have declined. California's fires have declined by 50% over the last 30 years. That's data from CAL FIRE. Now, the area burned has increased. We've talked about that before. That's not a global warming related issue. That's a forest management issue. The Sierra and Nevada Conservancy states categorically they believe there are 4 to 5 times too many trees per acre than what a healthy forest should have.
Absolutely.
And that leads to more fuel to be burned, more intense fires. We're seeing the results of poor forest management practices. The results of that, the chickens are coming home to roost, and that's what's leading to some of these big fires.
That's right.
So again, it's not climate change. We see too that hurricanes are definitely not increasing. Even the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change agrees with that. Their last report, they agreed that there was no increase. A strong argument can be made that they're in slight decline. That's hurricanes. Up until recently, too, tornadoes have been in decline. This past spring, over the last month, we saw an increase in tornadoes, but it looks like the increase we saw in tornadoes was not due to warming, but rather we had a very late cold spring.
Mm-hmm.
And tornadoes are generated where cold weather collides is over top of warm, moist heat weather coming up, the temperatures coming up from the Gulf. And so really, it was this late cold spring that accentuated that temperature difference. So warm temperatures, hot temperatures don't lead to tornadoes. It's the differential between cold versus hot. And that's what we saw with that spate of tornadoes we saw here in the last month.
We have another caller with a quick question. I've got about 3 minutes left. Caller, go ahead, please. You're on the air.
Well, a couple quick things. Glacier National Park up in northern Montana has signs saying that the glaciers were going to be gone by 2020. Well, it's 2019, and their measurements show that they are growing. So they have quietly taken the signs down, and because, we wouldn't want to alert anybody to the fact that we misled you for however long it's been since we had, Mr. whatever, forget it. Okay, and the inconvenient truth. But, and then, talking about forest management, the Blue Mountain Forest Plan, which is in eastern Oregon, maybe parts of eastern Washington, it took them 15 years to do the plan. 15 years. And then the environmentalists sued them to stop them from doing it. And they have put a halt on the whole thing. And so after 15 years, see, there's no way to manage forests when the environmentalists just throw a wrench in the situation. They don't care if it burns. They just want to blame it on, man-caused global warming, and that works for them. I'll hang up.
Respond to the caller quickly, Greg, if you would, please.
Well, he's right about, I didn't quite understand the last part of that, but he's right about Glacier National Park taking down their alarmist signs predicting the end of glaciers in Glacier National Park. That was just released, and they just took them down. Not a word said. Glaciers are growing. You'd think they'd be happy with that, but instead they just go away, nothing to see here. You have to kind of laugh about things like that.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm very proud to have this man be a part of my program on occasion, and he's the author of the book Inconvenient Facts, the science that Al Gore doesn't want you to know. Gregory Wrightstone, thank you for being on the program again, and come back soon.
Thank you, Zeb.
All right, sir. God bless. Thank you very much. A little bit of a delay on the phone system there this morning, and I hope everybody could hear him okay. He's an outstanding guest and really knows and is knowledgeable about the truth, the inconvenient facts, the science that Al Gore doesn't want you to know. I urge you to get a copy of that book. Let's see, what else have I got cooking here right now? Oh, I got to remind you about some friends of ours. And believe me, they've got all your electronics needs. Oh, my goodness. I'm talking about Patterson's at 421 East Main in Burley. Hello, Curtis and Lorena and the rest of the staff. Oh, if you're looking for a brand new TV, look no further than Patterson's. With all the Samsung, Sony, Toshiba, oh, they've got them all. And they've got all the complete sound systems, car stereos and speaker systems, home theater systems, video surveillance cameras, and they have all the towing hitches, everything over there at Patterson's, and even the HughesNet Internet. My goodness, what are you waiting for? Take the time, make the effort, stop in and see Patterson's today at 421 East Main in Burley. They're open Monday through Saturday 9 to 6, serving you. Wow, we're going to send it over to our main studio, and then after we come back, we're going to go to Vicky's Country Gardens and then have a short visit with Chuck Driscoll with the VA. All of that coming up in the next half hour. Stay tuned.
And now, back to Zeb at the Ranch on AM 1230 KBAR. To reach Zeb, call 436-2244 or toll free 1-866-927-4587. And now, here is Zeb.
Oh, we're going to rock and roll right now over to Vicky's Country Garden at 185 South, 600 West of Paul for the program segment called Green Thumbs, Dirty Knees, and Vicky's Country Gardens. And here is the one, the only lovely Miss Vicky. Good morning. How are you?
Good morning, Zeb. Did you survive the frost and the cold and the wind and the rain and all of that good stuff?
You know, I got to be honest with you that on Saturday, my lovely bride said, why don't we take the four-wheelers out for a little spin? And I'll tell you what, before we got home, that wind, as cold as it was, we were both froze to death. And now we're looking at temperatures going up into the high 80s.
It is Idaho.
Yeah, that's true. But, you know, that...
You go anywhere in Idaho without a jacket, your long johns, a feather vest, and then just be able to layer up and go down to shorts and a tank top.
You better believe it. Well, that leads me to the first phrase that I want to throw at you this morning. And basically, according to the weather forecast that we're seeing and hearing about for this week, literally 4 words. The heat is on. How would you respond to that?
And the plants are going to struggle a little bit, so we're going to have to be a little careful with them.
Okay. Now, we have a caller. I'll tell you what, Vicky, we'll take that caller, and then we'll talk about the struggling with the heat. I don't want to keep the caller waiting. Caller, quickly, you're on the air. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, I got some Brussels sprouts, and on the leaves are like curling in, and it looks like there's a bluish-gray mold on them. What's going on?
I'll have her answer that over the phone. Brussels sprouts, and they look bad. What's the problem, Vicky?
Well, we have had a lot of cold and a lot of wet, and if they're getting kind of a mold look to them, there's like a powdery mildew hitting them. Just fungicide them good, and that'll all go away now that the heat's coming on. They need a good dose of fungicide right now.
Okay. Now let's.
I use some fungicide, and it just beads off like a duck's back.
Well, that's because those have kind of a waxy leaf. Are you using any spreader sticker with it?
No, I'm just using what I use on the tomatoes.
Okay. Sometimes if you'll put the sticker with it, it'll open those leaves up and have it pull the chemical in. But I think you're probably still getting enough on there, as long as you're spraying them good. you're getting enough on there to do the good that it needs to do.
All right, caller. Thank you very much for your call. I appreciate that. And now let's get back to that answer about the heat is on. And I would imagine that there's plants in the garden that are saying, now wait a minute, let's not stick our necks out too far because it might be a false alarm.
This is very true. That's kind of what they're thinking. And right now you want to be really, really careful on the watering type situation. We've had a lot of cold, and a lot of wet. That deep down water is there. Don't get carried away and drown them too much in the heat. You can do just as much damage by getting them over wet in the heat as they can be in the cold and being too wet. So dig down, check your soil before you water. Some of your shallow stuff might need a light drink. Keep it real light on them right now till they get accustomed to the heat.
Okay. Now, I had a person write in an email to me, and they said, Zeb, would you please ask Vicki about our lawns? It looks like sometimes our lawns are developing yellow areas. What is it? What should we do?
Well, as a rule on a lawn, you have low spots that'll pull the extra water, and a lot of times with the cold and a lot of people are running sprinklers right now during that cold spell, which was unnecessary because the lawns just don't need it. They don't dry out when it's cold. You get them too wet, and that thatch is underneath there, and it holds that moisture, and then you start getting that yellowing effect. Kind of back the water up on them a little bit, kind of watch those lower spots. If you haven't fertilized, this would be a good time to fertilize your lawns. Give them a good shot of nitrogen and see if that doesn't green them up.
Okay. Now, a lady also called me this morning early before the program, knowing that you were going to be on the air, and she said, well, we talk all the time about gardens, but what about flowers? It seems like the heat and the cold's got to affect all the flowers, too.
It does. It affects the flowers a lot. Same thing, don't overwater. Your petunias and things like that will go yellow on you if they're getting too much water. Where we've had all of this intense rain and moisture in your flowers and that, a lot of your fertilizer has washed away from that root zone and has gone down deeper. So this would be a really good time on flowers and that to give them a good shot of fertilizer. Make sure you've got one that's got some good phosphate in it, which is the middle number, because that's the one that keeps them blooming. But it's not going to hurt at all right now to do gardens and flowers and everything with a good shot of fertilizer, because they've been struggling quite a bit with a lot of moisture.
You know, I've got a dumb question on my own, and I want to ask you this. When they develop different kinds of, whether it's tomatoes or any other kind of crop or vegetable, how do they know that they can get a certain taste or a certain flavor?
Well, that comes in all your lab testing and all that kind of stuff. And, that's where the guys with the big educations come in. But they just have to test them, and they do the cross-pollinating. And this tomato is juicier, this one's meatier, so they they cross them a little bit and get a little better texture in them. Then as far as flavor, you've got some of your tomatoes that'll be a little sweeter. Some of your heirlooms are a little sweeter tomato, and they'll cross them over with some of the others, and they just play with it a lot in test tubes. I've decided. I think we're going to find the same thing in our meat. They're starting to do test tube meat, and I'm not really too excited about trying any of that.
Right.
I'll try the tomatoes, but I don't think I'm going to try the beef.
Well, what are some of the specials that you wanted to talk about this morning over at Vicki's Country Garden? I know that you're open, your hours are extended. What are some of the specials that you're offering to the folks?
Well, we're going to start running some weekly specials in here. I think this week we're going to start doing like roses on. The roses will go on special this week for like 25% off. Just check in with us, different things. We're just kind of rotate through the greenhouses, and as we see things that people are needing to get planted right now, we're going to kind of help everybody out with the 4th coming up to get their yards spruced up a little bit. Of course, we just got in a whole new shipment of river rock, so we're stocked on all of the colored river rock. We've got the bark. We've got all kinds of landscape products. So getting ready. The 4th's not that far off, and everybody likes to have their yard looking really spiffy for the 4th.
You know, you bring that up, and it's almost a shame to say it, but 3 weeks away from the 4th of July, my goodness, my dear lady. Let's not have summer zip by that fast.
I know. This has been an odd year, and it seems this feels more like it should be May weather instead of June. You know, we should be about the middle of May with the way it's acting, but it is what it is, so we just have to take it as it comes. But we do have everything they need to get their yards done. We've still got a lot of bedding plants. We have a lot. I mean, if they froze out over the weekend, which a lot of people did, cucumbers, zucchini, the different squashes, the melons, we have a complete new planting of that in right now. We just got them up and going, so we're stocked and ready to redo your garden. And it's not too late to start a garden.
You know, when you say that, that's exactly, you must have read my mind in the paper in front of me, but a lady sent me an email and she said, is it too late to plant anything at this stage of almost mid-June?
It's really not. With the way things have been going, the weather's going to turn off and get warm. Everything's just going to grow twice as fast now. So the gardens that are being planted right now will catch the gardens that have been in for like 3 and 4 weeks. It'll be amazing how fast they'll catch up.
Okay.
So don't hesitate if you're wanting to do a garden and put cucumbers and zucchinis and peppers and tomatoes in. You still got plenty of time. There's not a problem. I had a lady in today that her the potatoes got froze in her garden over the weekend, and she was afraid she'd lost them. She brought me a picture of them. Spuds will come back. They will go, and hers were froze on top, but there was green down underneath. And I told her, I said, just give them some time. They'll come back. The set will be a little bit late setting on, but they will come back and they will produce and be fine.
Okay. Now it's time for the weekly tip of the week from Vicky's Country Gardens.
Well, the tip of the week is get out there, get ready. The weeds are going to take off. They're going to grow like crazy. So get the hose sharpened up and get ready to go to work. Get your sprayers cleaned out. Make sure you know which ones are insecticides, which one are herbicides. Get your fungicides mixed up because it's going to get us. I mean, it's out there and it's just waiting for those 85-degree days, and we're going to have fungus among us like you ain't never seen.
You know, when you say that, Vicky, about the weeds and the fungus among us and everything else, do people realize how much that takes away from the growth of their crops and or stymies their crop completely?
Oh, it does. I mean, fungus is just like, it's just like when, as a person, you get the flu. You just don't function. You just can't, you're sick. You don't feel good. Plants are the same way. That's a disease that affects them. It will affect the growth of the plant. It affects the vegetables or the fruit or whatever is being set on. And, it definitely does affect everything like that. And the weeds will take way more fertilizer away from your plants than your plants will not utilize near the fertilizer that the weeds do. That's why they grow so nicely.
Okay, tell us about your hours. How long and what days are you open?
We are open 9 to 6, Monday through Saturday, and Sundays we're here from 11 to 3 for right now, and so that everybody can still get their gardens in. And if you need a special appointment or something to get something after the hours or something on Sunday, just call, get a hold of me. We'll make arrangements because I'm in and out of here all day anyhow. So
this is a wonderful.
You know what you need, and we'll try to make it work for you.
Absolutely, this is a wonderful lady, Vicky at Vicky's Country Gardens, 185 South, 600 West of Paul, with the segment Green Thumbs, Dirty Knees, and Vicky's Country Garden. God bless you, Vicky. Stay warm. Well, I shouldn't say stay warm. Stay cool now this week and enjoy.
Yep, get your sunscreen out, Zeb, because you're going to need it.
All right, Vicky. God bless you. Thanks for being on the show.
All right, thanks.
Thank you. Love that lady, Vicky at Vicky's Country Gardens. Thank you with all the gardening and the flower tips and the landscaping and everything else. Thank you very much. Holy cow, we've got to get to the weather, and then we've got another guest after the weather. And, of course, our weather brought to you by Scarrows Meats, 331 North Road, Jerome. And, of course, you can go to their website, scarrowsmeats.com. Delicious meats for maybe your family reunions or your company picnics. Oh, my goodness, you better get a hold of Don Scarrow and the crew today at 324-7657. I'll repeat that number, 324-7657. Scarrows Meats in Jerome. Right now, here's Scott Mann with the weather.
Well, it looks like a much sunnier, at least beginning of the week. Good morning with your Zeb at the Ranch weather forecast. I'm Scotty Cameron. For today, looking for sunshine. Highs are going to be around 78. Mostly clear skies tonight and a low of 44. More of the same for tomorrow. Sunshine and 81. Mostly clear tomorrow night with a low of 50. Then for Wednesday, sunshine and 84. Mostly clear Wednesday night, a low of 54. As we move into Thursday, maybe a small chance of showers in the afternoon and a high of 82. Thursday night, mostly cloudy, a low of 54. And for Friday, mostly sunny and 83. That's your Zeb at the Ranch weather forecast. I'm Scotty Cameron. Have a great day.
All right. Thank you very much. I appreciate it, Scott Mann. And the weather brought to you by Don Scarrow and the crew at Scarrows Meats. Oh, my. They've got all the meats, the marinated pork ribs, the tri-tips, all the sausages and the bacons and the bratwurst. I love bratwurst. Can't have summer without bratwurst, let me tell you. All of this and more from Scarrows Meats, 331 North Road, Jerome, where they are changing the way we eat one delicious bite at a time. Right now, we're going to go to the phone line, and we've had this gentleman on our program before, and he's going to tell us a little bit about the VA and the replacement of a program called the Choice Program. We have the Mini-Cash Veteran Service Officer on the air with us, Chuck Driscoll. Chuck, good morning. How are you?
I'm fine, Zeb, and you?
Well, if I was any better, the wrong fat man be wearing my clothes, Chuck. I'm blessed. I really am.
That's good.
Listen, what's going on that just took effect in the last couple of days, about 4 days ago, where the VA is replacing what's called the Choice Program? What does that mean?
Well, the VA had a program where you had the choice of going to a community doctor if the VA could not get you an appointment on time. Now, the program is called the Mission Act, and the Mission Act basically allows you to go to the doctor in the community as long as the VA is aware of it. But the added benefit is that they are adding a service called urgent care, and they will have an urgent care place in Burley soon contracted to see people where they can just walk in and get taken care of. And they're pushing more towards community care. Their little fact sheet says that they're trying to get you health care when you need it and where you need it.
Well, Chuck,
so that's what the new mission program is.
All right. Now, Chuck, why wasn't this implemented a long time ago to make it much, much easier for our veterans? What happened that finally the dam broke and things are starting to be more in favor of the VA and the vets?
Well, the president signed a bill into effect a year ago on D-Day, and it became effective on D-Day this year. And it was from the president's leadership that we were able to get improved community health care.
So what does this mean for the vets in our area? Do they have to fill out any special forms, or do they have to do more paperwork? Explain that a little bit.
As long as they are already authorized to get VA medical care, all they have to do is call their doctor at the clinic and tell them that they want to go to a community doctor, and they will authorize it. There's no special forms. Now, there are some hoops they have to jump through for emergency transportation and emergency medical care, but I have all that stuff here in the office if they'd like to come by and read what they call the fact sheets. They're many pages long.
Let me ask you this, though, Chuck, and I really get upset when our veterans that have served this country and allowed myself and others to live a life of luxury and comfort and security. Why is it so difficult for them to come home and get taken care of? Please explain this to me.
Well, this is just my opinion. It's not anything that I can substantiate. But I believe the VA healthcare system was built for a certain number of patients, and after Obamacare came into place, all of a sudden there were 10 times as many people as they'd ever seen before. And so they're trying to grow as the system is pushing them in that direction.
I see. We have a caller with a question for you, Chuck, so stand by. Caller, go ahead, please. You're on the air.
Yes, I've been on the Boise VA. I go to Boise to the Veterans Hospital up there to be taken care of, and I was going to go down here to Twin Falls, and I thought, well, if I'm far away, they say it's 40 miles, is that correct?
40 miles or 1 hour round trip.
Okay, is that a round trip?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, when I was over to Twin Falls, they told me I couldn't qualify to go to a private doctor, believe this or not, because I was on the wrong side of the river. If I go over on the other side of the river, then I'll be 40 miles. But I'm not quite 40 miles living on this side of the river, so they wouldn't allow me to go to a private doctor.
Well, all this has changed as of last Thursday. They're still finding out all the facts, but they are changing it, and I live on the wrong side of the river as well, so I understand.
Well,
can I redo this and perhaps have an opportunity to go to a private doctor here?
Yes, but you need to do it through the clinic in Twin Falls. You need to go there, and they will then allow you to go to a community doctor.
By a community doctor, now you're talking about not Twin Falls doctor, but a doctor right nearby me.
Right.
All right, caller. We wish you the best of luck on your trying to revamp your portion of the program, and I hope it works for you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Chuck, let me ask you this, and I don't understand all the whys or why nots, but will this movement now that was signed a year ago on D-Day and now goes into effect as of last Friday, will this help eliminate the long, lengthy van drives and everything else for our veterans?
It already has. A lot of our veterans are able to get community care now and not have to go to Boise. So that's a real plus, and it will do nothing but improve that.
Okay. What about overall? I mean, we've heard some horror stories, and I'm so blessed to have you on the air this morning. But we've heard horror stories about VAs in Arizona, New York, and other parts of the country. But most of the vets that have called into my program have been very satisfied with the Veterans Administration here in the state of Idaho. Would you care to comment on that, please?
I'm not familiar with the other states. I've heard the same horror stories that you have. However, I have had nothing but good treatment through the VA here in Idaho.
Okay. Well, now, once again, I want you, for the benefit of my audience, to talk about the Choice Program and what it now is and has changed too quickly. I've got about a minute left.
Okay. It's called the the Enhanced VA Options under the Mission Act. And what it is community care eligibility, urgent walk-in care. It talks about co-payments if you have a co-payment. And then they've built in an appeals and a complaint process. And the best way to get that information is to come by my office here in Rupert at 625 Fremont Avenue, or give me a call at 208-678-3599.
You know, Chuck, I certainly appreciate your taking the time to come on our program. The Mini-Cassia Veteran Service Officer, thank you, Chuck Driscoll, and come back anytime. Thank you very much.
Thank Thank you, Zeb. Have a great day.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Glad to hear, so glad to hear that our veterans are receiving better and more expanded care. Thank you so much. Right now, I want to remind everybody about our dear friends at your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations, serving you with the very best in tires. I mean, my goodness, many of which are on sale right now. They know that you're busy. They know you're in a hurry. They know you're headed to Aunt Martha's and Uncle Fred's. They know that you want to drive on safe tires, and they've got them. All of them. All the sizes for your cars, pickups, and SUVs, horse trailers, boat trailers, camp trailers. Stop in and see them today, please. And make sure that you also check on the best in brake service, front end alignment, shocks and struts and batteries. All of this at all 7 locations. Lane and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family in Paul, Daniel on Poline in Twin Falls, and Trent on Overland in Burley, all serving you on behalf of the Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. You stop in and see them today. That's going to wrap it up and put it back in the box for today for me right here on Zeb at the Ranch on KBAR 1230 AM and streaming live on the internet, zebbell.com. And we'll be back tomorrow morning at 8:06, where we always say the way things were are the way things ought to be, and the world needs more cowboys. Wheels, good job this morning, old buddy. We'll see you tomorrow at 8:06.